no manga kaese. Shine.
Konnichiwa.
Domo.
Welcome to One Shot Presents on Break.
Watashi wa Tiger.
And what we do here is we review comics and action figures.
That's right, and this week we're coming to you live from the Far East.
That's right, Koyo Restaurant in Salt Lake City. It's one of our favorite Japanese restaurants. The tempura, awesome. If you're ever in the area, come check them out.
I mean, technically it's on the far east side of Salt Lake, so not lying.
And since I live in the west side,
It's about as far east as we can get.
that's right, because that's all we can afford.
That's right. Recession.
Yeah, deep times. Deep times?
Deep times.
All right, well, for this week's comic book of the week, I've chosen Samurai by Jean-Francois DeGiorgio and art by Frederic Genet. Now, by those names, it is French. It's from the Soleil line. Now, if you guys are familiar with the Soleil line, Sky Doll was their biggest title. It's like an export from France into the United States, and Marvel picked it up. Now, you would think that, everybody wants to get into cool culture and learn some new things, and that's fine. However, in a comic book form, I think it got lost in translation. So what the story is about is this samurai, or Ronin, I'm not even sure, this Takeo guy who's going up and down the country, like he's trying to save this child who may be the spirit child that's gonna kill all these spirits against a bad emperor or good emperor. Look, the truth is I don't even know what's going on. Somewhere along the way, whether it's an original Japanese story that was brought to France and then from France brought to the United States, it was lost in translation. I mean, it's pretty disjointed. It's like this review. I just didn't know what was going on. Now, as far as the art, it's really clean. The lines are really cool. However, the panels are too small, so you really can't appreciate what's going on. And so most of the time, you're like, what am I looking at? So overall, I just didn't know what was going on. Maybe it would help if they weren't so expensive. I mean, I tried it out because I thought, well, yeah, as a cultural exchange, maybe this thing is going to be, like, cool. But I didn't think so. I may try the other titles. I might not. But Samurai, I wasn't a big fan. So out of 5, I'm going to give it a 2.
And what's with this Bear Claws guy? What kind of coward attacks us on the internet? I mean, can't say it to our face. What, we're rolling? Oh, welcome to Trevor Time, and my name's Trevor. On Trevor Time, we review books that are a little bit older that you should have on your shelf. This week, Frank Miller's Ronin. This book came out between 1983 and 84. At that time, Frank had been doing books like Wolverine and Daredevil. This book has samurai in it, it has ninjas, it has robots, and it's set in this dystopian future. Frank is definitely trying to get his chops on as a world builder, and in doing so, he's experimenting in a format that hadn't been tried a lot at this time, this graphic novel format. The story starts out in the 13th century, where a dishonored samurai, whose master has been killed by a demon, ends up getting transported to the 31st century. There, he and the demon are going to meet up in a feudal reckoning. So now the samurai has to deal with new technology, and people in the 31st century have to deal with a samurai settling a feudal debt. Frank was definitely ahead of the curve on this one. This is 1984. This is the pre-manga invasion. We were all kind of sitting around going, what the heck's Frank giving us here? But after it hit, a couple years later, we're all going, oh my God, what did Frank do to us? This book is genius. This book belongs on your shelf. Definitely go pick this one up. If not at Night Flight, the local comic book store near you. Oh, man. Ooh, is that right?
Hi, I'm Sophie Five, and this week I'm reviewing Desolation Jones by Warren Ellis and art by J.H. Williams III. Warren Ellis is one of my favorite authors, and this story really follows the genre format of Chinatown with Jack Nicholson, in the sense that Jones is a detective who gets thrown into this case, and he's not a very good detective, but just his mere presence in the room makes all the other characters kind of reveal their own secrets and really do the work for him. He's just there. Warren Ellis was the first comic book author that I was ever given. My friend gave it to me and I read it and I loved it. And it took me over a year to find anything as good and as great and up to that level of understanding about humans and their faults and their weaknesses that I never liked a comic book as much as I liked Transmetropolitan. And Desolation Jones is in that vein. It's just that he now has the art of Williams to create that vision that he's always had. And he makes it real. He uses different colors, he uses contrasts of colors. There are full issues that are just black and white. Sometimes he contrasts Desolation Jones, who is gray and has absolutely no life in him, against the LA bright yellow skies. One of the things that Desolation Jones has is constantly having visions, and we see these angels floating through streets that are just beautiful and magnificent. If you read Promethea, you can recognize that art. It's the same kind of art. It's not contained in the panels. It's breaking all the borders. It's breaking all the rules. One of the things about this comic book is that it's extremely violent. And yet that doesn't take away from the masterpiece. It actually adds to it. Desolation Jones is an empty person, and yet there are moments in this book where you see his vulnerability and the vulnerability of us all, and we can only understand that by contrasting it with the violence and the sex and the disgustingness of human nature. Out of 5, I give Desolation Jones a 5. Go pick it up at your local comic book store.
Well, that's our show for this week. Thanks for joining. What's wrong with you?
I just feel like these stupid outros are the same every week. We say, thank you for watching. Tune in next week. We'd like to give a shout out to comicsnexus.com. We want to give a shout out to Night Flight Comics, the greatest comic book store, the greatest sponsor we've ever had. You know, check us out on Comcast On Demand. It's the same stupid outro every week. We can do better.
Well, what about them?
Okay, well, this week we do want to sincerely thank Koyo Restaurant. I mean, you guys need to check them out. Great eats. But other than that, we're smart people. We can come up with something cool for an outro.
Okay, number one, did you leave your tampon at the store? Because all this belly aching here. What is going on?
It's a family program.
Okay,
Let's keep it clean.
And then number 2, what do you want? Like a musical or something?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea.
Can you sing?
I'm like Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
Frankie Blue Eyes over here.
okay. Well, whatever. I guess we're going to start working on a musical. But until then, we'll see you guys next week.
Sayonara.
Johnny.
Endure!